I've been informed by my colleague Alfred that what number of the training sessions have been taking place, which is good. I hope that you guys are practicing because the only way you'll be able to play around with the system is to practice as much as you can. So there'll be two things I'll be doing today. It's actually to work on your evaluation section part of it. And let me take you through. If you have any questions, please feel free to either type or raise your hand. I'll be able to actually recognize you and allow you to ask your question. All right, let me just go straight to the to my sandbox. And be given the fact that we have limited information in terms of the sandbox, I'll be moving between the sandbox and the live system or the first demo so that we can actually pull data so that I'll be able to show you to complete the session today. So the first thing today we're going to talk about is actually the functionality regarding the quick evaluation. The quick evaluation as well as the Inside Portal. Inside Portal, that's the only place you can try to see or to evaluate your student and see how they're performing. It's actually very good for lecturers in the classroom when it comes to tracking, for example, the progress of the student, how they performed, and track you at risk to do the monitoring part of it. I mean, for those who have used Blackboard extensively, it's actually the equivalent of your grade center. Your grade center, it does play more or less the same functions, but then what I'm going to do with you today is really to play around all those functions to make sure that you're able to track submissions and also pick up on things like your monitoring. So the quick evaluation is actually if you go straight to a particular module, you'll see that you have a quick evaluation right in your sandbox. You'll see it's actually there. So let's quickly have a look. So the two things I want to just emphasize, you have the activities on the navigation tabs. The navigation tabs got two specific activities that you have, the quizzes and the discussions. So the two activities that you have here on ARC, if you want to see, for example, quick submissions, what's been submitted, and maybe the quick progress from the student, you can quickly go to the quick evaluation. That's actually quick eval. That means actually quick evaluation, right? So let's go and click on view all activities. So if you go to if you click on that, you should be able to see at least all the submissions if there were any, and then you're able to see also all the activities if there were any, right? And then you'll see, for example, if you do submissions, these are some of the details that you'll have seen from the actual system. But then because we don't have data on the demo side, the reason why you see is actually blank. And then if there was any submission, definitely we'll have seen something over there, but unfortunately there's nothing over there. And then before I move on to the lab system to show you how it looks like when you have data, and you have also the other way of actually accessing the same quick evaluation section is actually to go to the course admin. If you go to the course admin and if you scroll further under learner management, you'll see that you have the quick evaluation tab over here. So if you click on it again, you'll see that you can also access the same features as well. But then because we don't have actually real data, I would just have to go to the LAF system, but then it plays more or less the same thing. That's the same thing. Right, just let me know that you were able to see my screen. Are you still able to see my screen? The second screen on the live demo? Okay, cool. So if I go to the help, let me go straight here. Let me go to the course admin. And then try to go to the quick evaluation tab. So if you're working on the LAF system, you still have the two functions you'll see. For the first time, if you click on the two functions, you're not going to see any data for the first time. But then if you click on it, if you click on the first time, then if you don't see anything actually popping up, just go to the multi-course quick evaluation. It's for just the system to generate data for you, okay? Click on that. Let's go back. And then if you click on activity, you can see that you have data there, like your first evaluation. But definitely, if you have, let's say, in this class of IPRG, let's say you have 100 students, you'll see something like this, all the submission. You'll see, for example, whatever's been submitted in terms of activities. You'll see giving you the function for you to evaluate submission lists for your student, and then more action. If you click on the more action, it gives you the tab for you to publish all. Normally what you're publishing here is actually the feedback of the activities that have been actually your test or your activity, in this case, your discussions along those lines. So let me quickly click on one of this and show you what it looks like. If you click on this, this is actually one example. It gives you this particular screen, and then you're more than welcome. Let's say, for example, you did not grade your section. It's easy for you to upgrade to grade your system there, or your actual assessment if there was one submission. And then I've covered this particular section in terms of how to provide feedback. You can actually include your feedback. You can include whatever you want to include there in terms of the feedback. And also you can record your feedback. You can either record as an audio, or you can record also as a video, which is actually quite interesting. And once you have done that kind of feedback, you can actually go back and update the information, okay? So this is just one example for you to have an idea on how it works. Now, let's say, for example, while we're still here, we're still actually working on a specific assessment, and you want to probably make few changes to the actual assignment. You have the 3 dot on the side. Let's go back there and try to click on edit assignment. I mean, the few things that are picked up from ORC is that you have to get used to terminologies like, for example, when I talk about assignment and activities, and they all tend to talk about assessment. So that's the broader terminology that's being used. So we just need to get used to those type of things. This is actually your assignment. You want to actually make few changes. You can change it, for example, the availability, if you need to change the availability of the assessment, so the lecturer can actually do that. You can change that. You can also change the submissions of the assessment. I did cover this last time. And then also you can also include feedback on evaluation feedback if you need to include those type of things. For example, adding rubrics or managing your Team, or you want to include specific instructions to the student, you can actually include also those elements there. And then all you need to do is actually save and close that to be actually provided. And then whenever you want that to be visible to the student, then you need to make sure that you make it visible. If you don't want student to see the actual assessment, you're more than welcome to actually change the visibility functionality over there, okay? So that's one aspect that you can actually play around with. And then let's say, for example, in the case where the student had submitted an assessment, like in this case, you can see what has been completed and what has been evaluated. So this is actually also an example. I understand for my colleague Alfred that you guys have already covered how to design a new assignment, and also how to do the grading part of it. But then, guys, if you have still questions on that, please feel free to ask those type of things. So let's go back to the course admin, to the evaluation part of it again. So what we have done during this particular session is to quickly see what it means in terms of this. Before I even actually move further, there's also a very good way of actually picking up a number of activities. Let's say, for example, you have let's say 20 activities that you've given to your student, and you want to see which activity you want maybe to focus on. So you're more than welcome to select activity name. What the good thing, because if we have, let's say, for example, 10 activities, all the activities will appear actually like from the tab. All you need to do is just select the activity, and then you have that, it's easy for you to see what is in there. But then, as I said again, if you want to evaluate the particular assessment or activity, you're more than welcome to use this particular functionality that we have already covered. Okay. And then if you want to focus on, just give me a second. If you want to work on the submission list, you're more than welcome to click on, you want to see the actual submission as well, you're more than welcome to see the actual submission. So in this case, for example, you want to download that particular assessment or the actual document or from your activities, so you can see them from here. And if you want to spend time to go and mark that particular activity, all you need to do, just move from there and go to the evaluation tab. If you go to the evaluation tab, you can see this is actually for one student. But let's say, for example, you had 20 students. If you had 20 students, what's going to happen here is that you're going to have go to evaluation for each of the students separately. So let's go to this particular student. Alfred is added here as a student. You can go there, and you can even change the marks or provide feedback, as I've indicated earlier on, and update this particular section. Okay. So that's pretty much from the quick evaluation. The quick evaluation, so if I can actually summarize this, is really to give you a quick the glimpse of what it looks when it comes to the two aspects of activities and quizzes. So you can actually work on those two elements. So that's the first section of the training. Then the second part of the training, I'm not too sure whether we do have questions. Anything that's not clear, you'd like me to repeat or to quickly ask any questions? Right. Let's go back. Sorry. The second part, I'm going to spend time with you. I just went too far. Sorry for that. Just gonna select one particular module. Any. So the second section I'm going to spend time on is actually your Insight Portal. Insight Portal is actually a very interesting tool that we have on Brightspace. So if you click on this, so oftentimes on your, if you check your demo, it might be somewhere closer to, you'll find under course admin, it will take you straight to the Insight Portal. And then if you actually using the live system, you'll find this particular features under your under administration. It's quite a bit hidden, but then you just have to look for it inside Portal. So I'll take you through this particular element. The reason why I'm choosing the dial, because we do have students, so it's going to make sense for you to understand. So, as I said at the beginning, so if you really want to track student, for example, this is the best place to work from. So let's say, for example, we want to work in terms of the adoption. We have that the first tab, the dashboard showing you, for example, how many logins you had, how many students, for example, access the course, and then in terms of the enrollment, in terms of the withdrawals. And then you have the second dashboard is actually to do with engagement. Engagement, for example, how many students access the last course, the time in content, and the assignment status, for example, completed, not completed. So far, we have tried to work with the AIT team, the learner engagement. We haven't got this particular dashboard populated as yet, as far as I know, but then I'm happy to double check today. But then we have also the assessment quality as well dashboard. For example, showing you things like your average grade in the particular class, and then reliability discriminatory index, and then the point by serial. So let's quickly check the adoption part of it, which is actually the first dashboard. So the first thing that we need to work in when it comes to the dashboard, let's see. This is what it looks like. You have all these, it works like more your giving you quite good insight if you want to trace all the students. And then the first thing that you need to be mindful is to check, for example, if you have too many roles. But then most of the time, for many of the lecturers, what we're expecting to see here, if you go to the roles we're expecting to see student, probably you might see the courses that you've registered you've been enrolled into as a lecturer. And then the second part is actually some of the tools. I mean, the good thing about this one here is what it does is actually you can actually customize. You can customize the level of detail. So in this case, for example, I want to work, for example, on attendance only. I can only click on attendance and then see how many students actually um, have been attending classes or maybe did not attend classes. So you can actually work on that. You can maybe just try to customize your class progress. So you can actually customize, and that's a very good tool to work with, which is actually quite interesting. And also the other thing that I picked up very interesting here is actually for you to summarize your date. So let's say, for example, you need to know, you need to delimit, for example, how long you want, I mean, the dates that you need for you to evaluate. You want to work, for example, semester two, from the time students start the classes. You want to work from there, see, for example, the system access. So, I mean, let's use an example of this. Let's use this. It's actually even broad. Let's just maybe use September. Okay. So if you use this, the other thing that you could do, you can quickly try to zoom this and to see the highest month in terms of your attendance and your highest month in terms of lower attendance. So instead, in terms of the system access. So I'm just using the system access here. You can see the highest they've been actually that one number of system in terms of the access. If you can even see the number of students, if you can actually see the top there, and you can see probably the lowest to be something like this. So that's actually an example if you want to actually zoom your data. And also, that's the system access. That's actually the entire system. That you look at your entire Blackboard. Then you have the more detailed information that you can actually work from is actually the course access count. So this is actually very good as well. You can try to limit number of values there, but then let's try to zoom this. So you can see the information, for example, the number of students who have accessed the course. That gives you a quite number of limitation there. And then you can see it depending on number of users that you have included. Like, for example, in my case, I do have full access to the entire system. Then I'll see, for example, the team, or if let's say, for example, EdTech, how many of them have actually accessed the system, or instructors, you can see this level of information. And then you can also scroll further. You can see in terms of the tools. And this is actually very good for lecturers as well. I mean, what it does here, it gives you an insight in terms of all the tools that we're having. So for example, announcement, how many students actually went to check, for example, announcement, how many students went to check the assignment, how many students, for example, checked files, quizzes, or things like that. So you have all the information for you. But then I think for lecturers, I mean, someone using the Brightspace is for you to be able to actually interpret the data. And that's how you'll be able to really take control of your class in terms of the monitoring part of it. So that's very important. And also you can see it gives you a very indicative type of data at the bottom in terms of the date that you can actually, play around with. But then you also see at the bottom, you see also specific information if you want really to customize, for example, your class progress. So you want to customize only like number of emails. So that level of information you can actually get from this particular dashboard. All right, let's have a look if there's anything else. The other one I wanted to chat about is the enrollment and withdrawals. Let's go back there. This is also very good because, I mean, for those doing monitoring, it's easy for me to know, for example, At which point in time do we have, for example, student withdrawing from a particular module, or maybe how many students did we enroll? You can see maybe that's the peak, but then the way you can actually interpret is because if you start a semester, that means that you have maybe all the students in a particular group, maybe part of your enrollment. But then also, what is also very important for you is to be able to see, for example, if it is any of the students, how many students, for example, withdrew from that particular class. So, I mean, that particular dashboard is actually very interesting because it's going to show you that level of information. And what you could do is actually to start drilling down and then identifying the names of the actual student. But I know that the other thing that you could do is actually to move a bit further. If you want to start like extracting information, is for you to export this information as part of the CSV. So the only way you can extract information is you can extract information if you have all the student. I mean, all these dashboard that you have in here, all this information, all you could do is actually export this information. Export information, you see, going to have the access part of it. You're going to have the course access or the count. You're going to have things like your tools usage, and then you can actually filter and then start maybe like, try to customize to tailor your interventions from there. Let me see if I can actually try to export this information. See if I can quickly, just in a second. See, I can see around and see. All right, just give me a second. Just give me a second. This is what is going to happen. So if you export your information there from that spreadsheet, from that particular, just a second again. Sorry about that. So this is what is going to happen after exporting. This is what you're going to have. So you can actually go into much detail to say, for example, from the dashboard in terms of the tool usage, how many students maybe access the entire system. In terms of the system access, how many students you can actually pick up from there. So you're more than welcome to play around when you guys have access to the entire system. Okay. So after that, the other aspect I want to chat with the team is to show you, let's go back, is to go back to the engagement, okay? Well, the engagement is also a very, it's a very interesting tool. So if you click on that, what is going to happen there, it might take a while just to load the information. Okay. So I think many of the lecturers, when you do monitoring, this is going to be a very interesting tool because it gives you very good insight in terms of what students are doing. So let's say, for example, engagement dashboard, you want to see, I mean, you have your semesters, also very important. I mean, you need to be able to determine which semester you are in. If you are in semester 1 or term 1 or term 2, make sure that you select that. Otherwise, you're going to pull data for something that you might actually not need in your case. Now, you can see in this case, for example, we have system access. It gives you like 38 students. Users have no system access in the last 14 days. So you can even go back and actually click on that information to give you, to break down your information. It can show you, let's see quickly, something. Yeah, so you can play around with this. It can show you, it can actually filter the information on your behalf, which is actually cool for someone who's doing also some form of monitoring. And also you can check, for example, overdue assignment. You can click on it. It can show you, for example, is it like how many days you have this actually, when that actually happened. I think for many lecturers, what will be quite interesting would be to see those students. So what is going to happen when you click on this? Let's say, for example, when you filter, click on this in terms of overdue assignment, you scroll further down, you can actually see the actual student. Usually what the system does, it pulls through the outstanding student or maybe the student who still have like, outstanding tasks to submit. So you can actually do that exercise when you have full access to the system. And also, I did mention last time that there are quite a number of ways you can actually use the class list. It's going to land you here, but you can also select your student that maybe you're worried about, and then try to send them the email directly with a particular message. So you can customize the email. I did show you last time. That email, it can be a full email, or you can actually include part of the email, include things like your video, or a video, or maybe a recording from there, just to tell the student to be ready and try to check the work that you have provided to them. Okay. And then, yeah, that's one of the great tool that you have. And also, as part of the engagement dashboard, you're more than welcome to do the same thing also. You can export it to a CSV, and then you can see this information that you have, for example, result, let's say, for example, a student maybe with outstanding result, or student with overdue assignment, student with issues around access, or what it looks like in terms of your grade. So you can actually, let's see, we can filter this information as well, because that's actually part of the brain, part of um, the site where you might be assigned to, but then you can export information. You can actually have all these 4 tabs actually for you. Then you can actually filter. You can filter and then try to work with those students directly, and then find out if there's anything that you need to do in terms of helping them, or having like tailored interventions along those lines, and in a way to support those students. Right. I think that's cool when it comes to this. I did also show you last time that as part of this monitoring, as part of the monitoring, you're more than welcome to use a student. Like in this case, you can actually go to the student directly. If you can go to the student directly, you can see also what the student has been doing. So you can see, for example, what is it like he hasn't returned over the days. It could be like what it looks like in terms of the grade. You can see the entire, dashboard when it comes to the grade, which is actually over time. And then you can see for that particular student in terms of the access, you can see whatever is overdue. Okay, and if you click on that in terms of overdue, you can see, if you scroll further, you can quickly check what is actually overdue. Oftentimes, it could be things like your discussion activity that is actually overdue, but then it shows me too. Let me see if I can see of to assignment, so that you have an idea how to interpret this. Just give me a second. I'll have to find the 2 of these activities that's overdue, but then I can see from the main active course, I can see that from the discussion activity or dashboard, you can see what is actually what is actually not graded. Like in this case, it could be like your web development, because that student, we're actually looking at the entire, what the student actually registered for, like all the 4 modules, like in this case. So that's a very good example for you to monitor and track your student, which is actually cool, a very interesting tool when it comes to the dashboard, the Insight portal. Right. Let me go to the last one. The last one is just quickly go back there. So the last one I want to check is the assessment quality. We haven't used this a lot, but then it's always good to, I mean, I did mention that the learner engagement, what we have seen is that there's not a lot that's been added to in terms of the integration. For that one, we still have to wait until the system has become live. But then the only aspect that we have worked on extensively is the assessment quality. You can go there. So let's have a look. Every time, I mean, if it's the first time that you accessing this, it will take a bit of time. But then once you become, once you start using the system extensively, you start seeing that your data start pulling through quite extensively. Now, a few things from the summary of the assessment quality dashboard. Basically, what it does, it gives you, for example, quizzes return with a total of maybe in terms of returns, and then the average score of what's been submitted for by within that particular group of your student or that particular class of your student. And then also it shows you information. This dashboard, it can show you, for example, what it shows. For me, that's level of submission is actually at a very low level. You can zoom this if you want to. But then for now, because we don't have a lot of data actually added, that's why you see there's a lot of this academic honesty, which is actually by default for all the assessment that we have by default. But then I can see from here, we don't have a lot of data to show, for example, like how many of these activities have been submitted. But then you'll see something like this when you start working on this. All right, it will actually show you for specific assessment. Like in this case, we have only quizzes, but then we're supposed to have quizzes. We're supposed to have maybe discussion forums, if it was discussion forum there, and then giving you also the number of answers that you have actually registered so far for each of these activities. And this is actually very good for monitoring, because let's say, for example, you have given this particular activity to your student, and you can see there are only 7 answers so far. Let's say, for example, you have, let's say, 50 students. So this is the time for you to go back to that particular group of students. Say, for example, guys, can we go back and check this activity? Then please complete it and please submit as soon as possible. So that's actually very good. So you can also go back and try to drill further down in terms of the actual activity, and then look at the questions. These are the questions that we use for that particular activity. And you can see, for example, this is more detailed type of information to show, for example, the deviation or means in terms of what has been scored and average for that particular group of students. So, and in for me, when you work with this particular dashboard, it's really to help you monitor, and then be able to pick up on the student who are not, doing the work they're supposed to do, and then try to tailor the interventions for those students. Right, I think that's pretty much from my side. As I said, it's for me to just touch base on those 2 elements. Basically, your quick evaluation. I mean, as much as you start using, if you have to use the, I mean, even your dashboard, you'll see that once you have already clicked on the quick evaluation for the first time, it will actually move to your dashboard, to your navigation tab. Like in this case, you can see it actually move to the navigation tab, so you can actually access from there, and you can see for your 2 activities, for other activities or discussion, you can see what students have done, so which is actually cooler for you there. And then, as I said again, if you want more information, you can go to the you can still go back to your dashboard or your admin, the quick admin. Also, you can find information also from there. Okay, I think that's pretty much from my side. I'm not too sure whether we have questions, but then I know that I was talking to Alfred sometime. What we will be doing is to make sure that you guys have all the information. We're gonna do also a couple of videos here and there, so that when we move on to the live system, you also have the same experience. Things like your class progress, you can still use this, but then it's going to go back to your course admin as part of your main dashboard. All right. I think that's pretty much from my side. I'm not sure whether we have questions. Any comment? Are you guys still there? Yes, no? A lot of information. Curious. I mean,
information.
Yes, Black. Come again?
No, I say that good on my side for now. A lot of information to digest.
A lot of information. Yeah, I mean, for now we can only do so little, but you see more you start playing around with the system. Even if you can play, we can even play. If you want to play this to use this particular tab nicely for now, what you can do, you can actually log yourself as a student, and then go back and submit an activity. Just create yourself an activity or quiz or discussion, and then once you have created that particular activity or discussion, play around with it, submit that particular segment. I know that by now you should know what has been, how you go about that. And then if you go back and check, for example, you don't see anything in between, just make sure that you just click the multi-course, and then you'll see that appearing there. Then you can see what I've just mentioned now earlier on. But then I think the starting point for most of you, just try to work as a student, change the profile, and then submit at least one assignment or one of the activities, a discussion part of a quiz or so. And then you can see that, and then you can start playing around even with your quick, you can even play also with your Insight portal yourself, add yourself as a student as well, and play around with that as a student. Curious. Nomzam was saying it's a lot of information. Okay, yeah, it is a lot of information, but then we'll see in terms of the student monitoring, I will see a lot of improvement as compared to the Blackboard coming back in 2025. If you lecturers can use the features correctly, I see a lot of improvement, like tracking student and things like that, student dropping along the way. You can actually track all the student actually using your system there. You can track all the student actually using your dashboard. So hopefully, I'll see a lot of these coming back in 2025. But then, as I said again, if you have any questions, guys, feel free to chat myself, Alfred, or Caleb. Will be there always to revise anything there along those lines. Attendance. With regard to attendance, as far as I know, we had one issue in terms of capturing attendance so far. Attendance does not work the same way we used to do in what you call it, in Blackboard. Like Blackboard, we used to capture attendance, and you can see giving you that particular tab to see, for example, you have like so many attendance. But in Brightspace, we're still discussing. There's still a couple of discussions with the team to see how we can still do the same thing for capturing attendance. But then we can do other things, for example, things like access to the module, access to the courses, things like that. We can actually do type of things here. But then I know that attendance is one of the major issues we did raise. But then hopefully we're going to have that also sorted. The other question, Lerato, you're asking, good morning. On Learn, we had admin so far. How do we access other lecturers' platforms as a PC? So, I did mention to you, if you want to access other lecturers on Arc, what is going to happen is that, let's say, for example, let me just open here. I want to show you something. So if you go to the dashboard, let's say, for example, you're an admin. So you need to check here. You need to check something. Let me check something quickly. You need to check the roles. You need to check the roles. Maybe you might have like few of your lecturers being assigned to you. You'll see some of the lecturers if they are really added to you already. Like here, I can see, for example, how many staff do we have. If we do have like staff, let's take for let's say Petunia there, I might see these roles actually added to me here. If I'm actually a super user, you'll have something like this as an administrator. And then you can actually go to the dashboard of that particular individual and then see as much as doing it from the roles perspective. You can see campus ed tech LMS. So you'll have things like this actually designed. So we can actually go into each of these individuals, and see this actually in detail if you want to. But then I think when we're working on organization roles, we've added actually administrative roles from campus perspective. So, most of the PCs and PMs, you should be able to see what lecturers are doing in terms of tracking them also, and also assisting them so long. Will PC be super users? PC will be actually campus. They will have campus admin, right? This is what we have done. We've actually given them campus instructor of campus administrative right. We've given most of those ones right like this, so they'll be able also to check from lecture perspective from those modules. They should be able to see also how lecturers are doing also in the classroom. That was from Marinda there. Okay. Okay. What will happen with IE Connect? IE Connect is still going to be there. It's not going to go away. We're still going to be using IE Connect. As far as I know, we haven't. I've have to check with the discussion regarding the IE Connect because this will be two different platforms. But then I know that we have to find. I have to check with maybe Alfred with regard to the IE Connect. But then the IE will actually communicate to us what is the way forward with the IE Connect. Okay. Right. Um, I think those are some of the questions that we had over there. But then, guys, that's all much for me. Guys, you have other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and then I'll be able to pick up or I can be able to answer. And then, yeah, that's pretty much from my side. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day further. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Simbe.
Cheers,
Cheers,
bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers,
Have a good day.
Nsembe. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank you.
Sembe. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.